If your project is based on someone's life story, do you always have to obtain life story rights, or are there some circumstances where it is not necessary to obtain those rights? Hi, James Pacitti, entertainment attorney and production counsel in Los Angeles. I was recently asked by a client about whether or not they needed to obtain the life story rights to produce a film based upon a deceased celebrity. Now, technically, prior authorization is not required to make a film about any person, living or dead. But as discussed in an earlier video, securing life story rights from a living person provides a number of rights, releases, and protections that an E&O insurer and likely a distributor will require. However, if your project is about a deceased person, do you need to obtain life story rights? The importance of securing life story rights applies when your subject is still living, because living persons can sue for defamation and for invasion of privacy. If someone is deceased, you cannot be sued for either defamation or invasion of privacy. However, depending on the nature of the project, it's still important to be aware of state laws regarding rights of publicity. The right of publicity is the right that all individuals have to control the use of their name and likeness in a commercial setting. And for filmmakers making a narrative film using actors, it's really not an issue. For more details about the right of publicity, please see the video about that topic. Though a life story rights agreement is not necessary for protection from privacy and defamation where the subject is a deceased person, producers must also take notice and be aware of whether or not there are any other supporting persons in the story who are still alive, because it may be necessary to get life story rights for those persons, or the producers may need to fictionalize some of the surrounding persons in that story. Finally, even if life story rights are not required, depending on the nature of the project, producers may still want to seek the cooperation of the estate of the deceased. In addition to giving the project the cachet of the approval and support of the estate, cooperation from the state may help enrich the story by providing access to producers to persons, documents, and information they otherwise may not have been able to obtain. If the film is a documentary and producers want to use photographs, recordings, images, and other materials, it may be necessary to obtain consent from the estate. But otherwise, it depends on the very nature of the project, so it's important to consult with an attorney as to the specific nature of the materials, information, and documents needed. If you have any questions, or if you have a project you wish to discuss, don't hesitate to contact us.